Hey guys, so today's video is a true crime case that I wanted to cover. It was one that I learned about a while ago. It's not a very famous case, but a very famous person. So I thought I would go over that. Little update on the baby. I am 9 months pregnant today, which means I have about a month technically until my due date. But as you guys probably remember, I've had some blood pressure issues, so they're going to induce early, which will be in 2.5 weeks. So if I don't go into labor before that, somewhere around April Fool's Day, probably the end of March, I will be induced. So probably won't be having a video then unless I have time to upload one beforehand. And I'm going to do my best to do that. So forgive me if there's a break in videos. I know you guys will understand. You guys are awesome. But what I'm thinking is maybe I'll take a few weeks off again, unless I can get some stuff scheduled up. But if I do get some things scheduled up ahead of time, I'm going to upload them maybe every other week. So rather than like 3 weeks in a row of videos and then nothing because I'm not ready to film again yet, too exhausted, too busy with the baby, whatever, you'll have 6 weeks of every other week getting a video. So it'll, be a little more spread out for you guys, but at least you won't have like radio silence. So that's what I'm hoping for. But again, forgive me if there's a few weeks. Baby comes first. Sleep's gonna come first, I'm gonna not edit this video or probably any of the other videos that I upload. Might be filming another one today, so you might see this outfit again in next week's video. Who knows? But yeah, it's just quicker and easier for me. I'm really busy trying to prepare for the baby, trying to get a lot of work stuff done with my actual job to prepare for the baby, and that's obviously priority. So I'm doing what I can when I can, and it's just easy for me to just read my notes to you and not edit between every word right now. Because if I did that, you guys wouldn't get like hardly any videos right now. So today's video is about the actor Phil Hartman. I'm sure you've heard of him before. He was very famous in the 80s and 90s. He was on Saturday Night Live for, I'm not sure how many seasons he was on there, but he was on there for a while. He was on Pee-wee's Playhouse. I believe he was one of the original writers of Pee-wee's Playhouse. As well as the Pee-wee movies. He was an amazing actor, hilarious. Everybody that worked with him just adored him. And what you may not know about him, which I feel is not as famous, and I'm kind of glad it's not. It's really sad what happened to him, but I'm glad that his legacy is the bigger thing that people remember about him. But sadly, he was murdered. And this happened, gosh, what year did this even happen in? I'm sure I have it in my notes what day it was, but I want to say it happened in the mid-90s or something. Way to go, Haley. Way to put the notes down. Let me type it in because I don't see it. It's in my notes somewhere, but I don't want to lose it. This happened, in May 28th of 1998. On May 28th of 1998. He was sadly murdered. I'm just going to go over my notes, which are the timeline of what happened, and a little bit of information and a little bit of sort of side information that I've heard over the years from other actors who knew Phil Hartman and his wife. The reason I bring up his wife is because his wife was the one who murdered him. Phil and his wife, Bryn, lived in Encino, California. You're going to see me looking at my notes, so I apologize if that's distracting. They lived in Encino, California at the time. I have looked up their house on Google Maps before. It's a really beautiful house. They lived right down the road from Abuca de Pepo on Ventura Boulevard. And that day, the day before the murders, I guess it was. I don't know if the 28th was the night that it happened or the morning after, because it went through the night. But the daytime before, 40-year-old Bryn Hartman was drinking margaritas at Buca de Pepo, just a couple blocks away from the family home. She returned home sometime between 2 and 3 a.m. completely drunk and on cocaine. She had been drinking that night with a friend until 10 o'clock. It's unclear where she went after that. She was drinking at the restaurant with a friend. From what I remember, from like different documentaries and autopsy things on Phil Hartman, the woman that I think she was drinking with a girlfriend at Buca di Beppo had like lunch with her or dinner with her or something. And then she just kind of kept drinking. And I don't remember if the woman said that she was acting weird or not, but I think she said she seemed upset. And I'm not sure why. Let's see here. My next note. Sorry, I lost my train of thought here. They were married for 11 years and they had a pretty rough marriage from what everyone remembers. There is a really good interview on, what was it, Howard Stern? I want to say it was Howard Stern, but it was like a show. Like it wasn't his radio show. It was like an actual talk show with Phil and Bryn. And you see Howard, if it was Howard, I'm pretty sure it was, like kind of jokingly hitting on Bryn and talking about how pretty she was. And like he asked to like kiss her and stuff, and she does. And poor Phil is just kind of like, yeah, she's so much prettier than, like, I don't know how I got her. She's out of my league. And it's really sad, like seeing him talk himself, and he's doing it in a humorous way, but she's kind of going along with it. Howard's going along with it. And it's like this, I don't know, it's really awkward and it's really sad for him. But she was someone who was trying to make it in Hollywood as well. And that, I think, caused a lot of tension between them because he made it and she wasn't making it. Let's see. According to one account, I'm getting a lot of this from findadeath.com. If you guys have never been on Find a Death and you're interested in true crime and you're interested in Hollywood true crime, go check out Find a Death, because I have spent hours on that site. It's really cool. It's a collective of different celebrity deaths, not just murders, but like how anyone died. And the person who runs the site has gone to all the different locations of where they used to live, where they grew up, so you can see actual pictures. Anywho, they say that according to one account, she was upset because she had read a note from Phil the night before. This is the night before the murders, implying that he wanted to end the marriage. So it had just gotten to be too much for him, I guess, but this isn't confirmed. This is just a rumor. Other reports state that they were in counseling and things were actually improving. But whatever the case was, she was definitely having a bad day. One of the things I'll bring up that is a little bit of side information is that from what I've heard from Joe Rogan, and I want to say there was another actor as well that commented on it who worked with Phil, Bryn had actually gotten sober. And I don't remember if Phil was into drugs or not, and he had gotten sober as well and had remained sober. But Bryn had been sober, and they were sort of friends with, Andy Dick. And a lot of people blame Andy Dick for Phil Hartman's death because they say that Andy Dick got Bryn back into drugs. Now, whether or not the drugs were just offered to her or whatever, it's obviously her choice that she got back into them and her choice of what she did. But a lot of people have a lot of hatred towards Andy Dick because of Phil Hartman's death. People find him obnoxious and stuff regardless in Hollywood. And I've always been kind of indifferent. I've always thought some of his stuff was funny and some of his stuff was like, all right, you're trying too hard. But the underlying hatred, I think, of Andy Dick in Hollywood is connected to Phil Hartman's death. Let's see. Another one of the rough spots in the marriage, and this is what I mentioned a little earlier, was his success in show business and her repeated failure in her attempts to make anything of herself in the spotlight. This is really interesting. If you go back on YouTube, I'm sure it's up somewhere, and you look at the SNL intro from when Phil Hartman was a cast member. When they go over each cast member, there's like a little shot of them doing something. Phil is at dinner with someone, with a woman, a blonde woman. You see the back of her head and the front of him, because it's like you're looking at him eating and say, this is the back of Bryn's head and this is Phil Hartman. That's what the shot is. You can see Bryn's earring. She's got a dangly earring on and it's swinging a lot in the shot as Phil smiles at the camera. They say in filming that little clip, they had to shoot it and reshoot it because Bryn kept trying to turn her head to get her face in the shot, hence the swinging of the earring. I've always thought that was really interesting because you definitely see the earring swinging a lot. So maybe she was trying to do something like turn sideways and act like she was talking to a waiter or something just to get her face in the Saturday Night Live intro. I don't doubt that. It's not a terrible idea, but it's definitely something that a young actress would probably try and pull off. Excuse me. So on the day of the murders, 49-year-old Phil was asleep in bed wearing a purple t-shirt and boxer shorts with cartoon dachshunds on them from The Gap. She shot him 3 times with a gun, in the forehead, neck, and forearm. Now, some people think that the bullet through the forearm killed Phil. I think because it went through his forearm and into his neck or something. However, the bullet in the head was the first shot, I believe, and it was also considered the fatal one. This person on the website that I got this information from says the real oddity is the one through the neck. If it had been the only one, then he would have lived. Let's see. From what I remember, yeah, okay, good. I have this in my notes as well. I'll go into what happened after that. After she killed him, she went to a friend's house, basically just showed up, and she said, I shot Phil. He didn't believe her. She fell asleep, and the friend searched her purse. He found a Smith & Wesson revolver. He put it in a plastic grocery bag. And Bryn woke up 3 hours later, and she took the friend back to the scene so that he could see that Phil was dead. Friend checked out that he was dead, and he called 911. The 911 call stated, yeah, hi, I think there's been a shooting here. She came to my house and she was drunk. She said she had killed her husband, and I didn't believe her. Shortly after, the police arrived at 6:20 a.m. Let's see. Bryn locked herself in the bedroom with Phil. A friend gave police the revolver, and they escorted the couple's 2 children from the home. So the whole time this has happened, she shot her husband and left the house. Her kids are asleep in the house. Her 2 small children are asleep in the house. They, let's see, tried to talk Bryn out of the bedroom, but she was crying hysterically and wasn't budging. They broke a bedroom window to try to distract her, but it didn't work. At least not the way they intended it to. She pulled out another gun, stuck it in her mouth, and pulled the trigger. Cops broke down the door and found her unresponsive. They confiscated the gun. She was wearing a white cotton t-shirt with the number 9 on the chest, also from The Gap, and brown Argyle socks. Both of them were lying on the king-size bed. Phil was lying on his right side, and Bryn's head was on a pillow. Their bodies were removed and taken to the medical examiners for an autopsy. Upon examination, it showed that Bryn had consumed alcohol, cocaine, and an antidepressant, Zoloft, which is the next big deal of the case. The official verdict was a murder-suicide. Their bodies were cremated at Forest Lawn, Glendale. There was a funeral service on the 4th of June attended by the children. Their ashes were supposedly scattered off Catalina Island per Phil's will. Now, Bryn's family actually sued the makers of Zoloft, and a lot of people can compare this to the Columbine shootings, because I forget which boy it was, but one of the boys that did the shooting was also on an antidepressant, and they say that either taking it and then not taking it correctly or taking it with other things can cause suicidal ideations, you know, just wanting to harm yourself and harm others. So their family, Bryn's family, was saying that this was a similar situation. There was evidence that most of the alcohol and cocaine were ingested after the killing, which was a thing that was brought up in the case. However, Bryn had been complaining to friends that she felt odd after taking the Zoloft, which was originally given to her in a sample pack, like, you know, from the doctor's office. There was a settlement that was undisclosed of more than $10,000 that the family won in this case. Let's see here. So, yeah, John Lovitz was the other actor. Hartman's friend and former SNL colleague, John Lovitz, accused Hartman's co-star, Andy Dick, of reintroducing Bryn to cocaine. In 2006, he claimed that Dick had approached him at a restaurant. Oh yeah, I remember this. I think there's a video where you can see John Lovitz describing this fight. Dick had approached Lovitz at a restaurant and said, quote, "I put the Phil Hartman hex on you. You're the next one to die." So Andy Dick was just being a dick, basically. Lovitz responded by twice pushing Dick into the bar. The following year at Laugh Factory Comedy Club in LA, Lovitz and Dick had a further altercation. Dick asserted that he was not at fault in relation to Hartman's death. Ever since the death, Bryn's sister, Catherine, and brother-in-law, Mike, have raised the two Hartman children. Bryn's daughter, I can't remember if I follow her or not, but I found her on Instagram like a year ago or something. She's gorgeous. She's absolutely beautiful. And the kids seem to be doing great now. They're, I think they're a little bit younger than me, maybe around my age. Hartman's will stipulated that each child would receive their inheritance over several years after they turned 25. The total value of Hartman's estate was estimated at $1.23 million. So yeah, that is the heartbreaking story of what happened to Phil Hartman. Again, this isn't the most, I feel, well-known part of him, and I'm glad that it isn't, because I think his legacy was much more long-lasting and important, and I'd hate to think that all the work that he put into his comedy and making people feel good, he would only be remembered for this. So I'm glad, personally. But it's heartbreaking for his children to have lost both parents at such a young age. I want to say they were like elementary school age when this happened. I don't know the exact ages of the kids. I don't remember their names, and I don't want to say them because even though they're adults now, they probably don't want to constantly be reminded of what happened to their dad. And I completely respect that, and to their mother. So yeah, that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please hit the thumbs up button below. If you have any suggestions for videos, true crime or otherwise, you can leave those in the comments below. If you want to see more videos, please hit the subscribe button, as I upload new videos every Wednesday for now, but could be every other Wednesday or could be a break for a little while, but I'm going to do my best. And other than that, I will see you guys next week. Bye.